Hey guys, welcome to the Sports Note for Thursday, November 3rd, 2022. We're actually going to dive into our first NBA post of this new season. Yeah, it's hard to believe the NBA is already a couple of weeks old. We've actually got the Cavaliers being upstarts right now, having to beat the defending Eastern Conference champion Boston Celtics twice in the last 3 days. They've won 6 in a row. The Milwaukee Bucks are the only undefeated team still left in the NBA. Surprisingly enough, after a lot of their teardown, the Phoenix Suns have won 5 in a row. The Utah Jazz, after giving up Donovan Mitchell to the Cleveland Cavaliers, are 6-3. But one team that's currently right now, like through 7 games, they're in the play-in, but they're definitely going to be in that top 6. Are excuse me, a team that was in the Western Conference Finals last year, lost to the eventual champion Golden State Warriors in 5 games, and that was the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks right now, we all know that Luka Doncic is one of the best players in the world, and I actually will say right behind Giannis and right behind Joker in Denver, Nikola Jokic. Doncic is the best player in the NBA, and you can't even really put that up for discussion. He was the rookie of the year in 2019, and he's brought the Mavericks to the playoffs each of the last 3 seasons. Again, getting to the Western Conference Finals last season. Doncic also last night in their win over the Jazz did something that hasn't been done in the NBA in 60 years, and that was open the season with 6 straight games of more than 30 points. Doncic right now is averaging 36.1 points and 9 assists per game through the first 7 for the Mavericks. Now they're 4-3. They just got over the 500 mark last night for the first time this season. I don't see a scenario where really by Thanksgiving that they're fluctuating with that number and they're just taking off right past it. They're going to start blowing by some of the upstart teams out of the blocks, like the Trailblazers, who are 5-2. The Spurs are 5-3. The Pelicans are 4-3. Oklahoma City's 4-3. Those teams are not going to hang around. Hell, the defending champion Warriors are 3-5 out of the chute. And hey, look at that. The Lakers have won 2 in a row, although the Lakers aren't going anywhere, let's be honest, as old as they are. But Doncic right now is probably the most complete player in the NBA. I hear a lot of people talk Giannis. Giannis doesn't distribute like Doncic does. Giannis is a better defender, but yes, let's also keep in mind that Giannis is 7 foot. Doncic is a 6'7" small forward who also plays a lot of point guard. Doncic already, through this year is averaging. Again, we just talked about the numbers. He's also, I think he's also averaging somewhere around maybe 8 rebounds a game. So he's approaching that averaging a triple double philosophy or mindset through this early part of the season. The idea of Doncic being 23 years old, being the rookie of the year, his original year, and being in the top 6 in voting for the MVP every year after that is just showing how good this kid is. And the fact of the matter is he's just getting better. He's now the first year of a 5-year extension coming off of his rookie contract with the Mavericks. And Joker, ironically enough, is now in the first year of a new contract for him. It's also a 5-year deal. Jokic is 27, Doncic 23. Let's also think of the pecking order and the hierarchy in the NBA right now. I don't see a scenario where Steph Curry is still around in 5, 6, 7 years. He's 34 years old. He's got a couple of MVPs. He's got 4 NBA titles. Might be one of the best pure shooters we've ever seen, but we all know how I feel about him is that he's also a glorified street baller that plays absolutely no defense. He's one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen. Giannis is not going anywhere, but I don't see Giannis being as dominant without a supporting cast around him, and that actually became evident in last year's playoffs. LeBron is basically got maybe 2 years left. I think he actually breaks Kareem's record, and then he's out. He wants to play with his kid. His kid is very, very good. I just got to figure out, where that's going to happen. Is he going to stay in LA? There's no way in hell that he comes back to Cleveland and takes up 2 roster spots for a full year with as loaded as that team is, unless Kevin Love retires. But then again, I don't also see a scenario where LeBron would want to come back if Kevin Love isn't a part of that franchise in some capacity, whether he's an assistant coach or he's just, not dressed every night, but Kevin Love can still contribute. James Harden just sustained an injury that's going to keep him out a month. Joel Embiid is very up and down at times. Trae Young, I had that one great year where he got the Hawks to the Eastern Conference Finals, and he's still a very good player, but he's not among the echelon. And I'm not going to there's no way in hell I'm going to put Kevin Durant in that conversation. As great as Kevin Durant is, with all the politics and all the drama that goes in, there's no way that you can take the Brooklyn Nets seriously until they get their head out of their ass. And especially with all this bullshit involving Kyrie Irving right now, where even the commissioner has to criticize the fact that you didn't apologize for your remarks, even though you did comment about them, just shows you really what of a nut job he is. And quite honestly, between Ben Simmons being made of glass, Kevin Durant having a fragile ego, and Kyrie Irving being a flat earther nutcase, those guys deserve each other. And I'm actually glad that Steve Nash was let go, because he doesn't deserve that crap. The other thing about Doncic that a lot of people, forget, yeah, he's 23 and he's the face of this franchise and he's not going anywhere and he's getting better and better and better, is that he's got an owner who's going to fight for him tooth and nail every step of the way, and that's Mark Cuban. Cuban is always, whether it was Dirk, whether it was Jason Terry, Cuban always goes to bat and is very public about some of his guys. Remember on draft night, the Mavericks originally drafted Trae Young, and then kind of convinced Atlanta to take Luka Doncic, and then they just kind of flipped each other. And then there was in the midst of that, there was a conditional first round pick that was added into that, which Atlanta used the following year. I'm trying to remember who they drafted. It was Cam Reddish, and then Reddish played 3 years in Atlanta, and then eventually got flipped to the Knicks in a deal that involved Kevin Knox and another future protected first round pick. So again, just showing you. Can you imagine Trae Young in Dallas? Can you imagine Luka in Atlanta? I don't think it has the same level of fortitude for the return coming back if we're playing devil's advocate and we're playing what if. This, I think, Dallas is going to be one of those teams that is going to supplant the Warriors, and I also believe the Phoenix Suns as the best team in the Western Conference. I would say within the next 2 to 3 years at the most. If not, they get some gelling with him and Spencer Dinwiddie, and especially after going out and being able to gel with Christian Wood, who the Mavericks traded 4 players to acquire back at the end of June. Wood is actually in the last year of his contract, though. It was a 3-year deal that's paying him upwards of $13 to $14 million a year. So let's actually see if he can actually keep, earn an extension there. If maybe he gets dealt, if things don't work out, where the Magic maybe try to acquire some assets, maybe a little bit of depth around Doncic at the trading deadline, especially on an expiring contract, which is why I'm thinking that they actually there's going to be a deal made for Wood at some point. It's all a matter of let's actually see what he does with Luka between now and, let's say, January 31st. I'm not going to maybe the All-Star break but then again, the All-Star break is just a couple of weeks thereafter. But let me know what you guys think. Who are your top 5 in the NBA right now? Because we all know that I'm going to put Luka probably right at the top of that list, if not the top 3 at the absolute worst. But who do you think? Who's your top 3? Who do you think is going to be the top 3 in the West? What are your expectations of the Mavericks this year? And also, what are your thoughts on the very, very early NBA season, as teams are now starting to get into the double digits of the number of games that that have been played on their schedule by the end of next week? So let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys hopefully here sometime this weekend. I'm getting a flu shot tomorrow night, so let's actually see how I react to that. You actually see there's a little intro video here. You'll also notice that you can now access the Sports Note easier on YouTube, as YouTube has now come out with almost a Twitter type mentality to be able to find content and creators like myself, like my co-host Mike Martinez, and also the Wise Guys. We've all been contacted about establishing handles, so to speak. So instead of actually trying to search for me online, just go to youtube.com/at JCBlueNote24. It'll take you right to the Sports Note here on YouTube. You can also access all the videos and get to the channel through each individual post as of January 1st this past year, where we led off with Becky Hammon and the San Antonio Spurs and her legacy there. That was our first video on New Year's Day. And then also we've got an official handle for the Wise Guys show. So you can go youtube.com/at Wise Guys Sports Show. And both of those will actually be linked in some capacity to mine and Mike's Twitter page, and also here on the Sports Note on the and our YouTube page for easy reference. So take care. We will see you guys next Saturday night, November 12th, with the November episode of the Wise Guys Sports Show, and I will be back with you guys hopefully here in the next couple of days with another Sports Note. Take care.